Hi, I'm Pat Fleming. Welcome to another episode of the LCC Fusion podcast series. As we build our understanding of the Fusion system, I've chosen to continue using AI not just for education, design, and development of Fusion, but also to leverage AI voices for the podcasts, helping us enhance the clarity, accuracy, and flexibility as our project evolves. Fusion is an open source project built on the National Model Railroad Association's LCC standards, helping you plan, build, and install and configure the hardware that automates your layout. Thanks for being here. Let's get started with our two presenters.
When I first came to the LCC Fusion Post site, I wasn't quite sure what it was for. Is this where we go for documentation? Or is this just news and announcements? Or is it something else?
It actually serves two big purposes. First, this is where we post normal project updates, tips, improvements, little discoveries, short presentations, and general news about what's happening in the LCC Fusion world.
And second, this is the home of our Fusion podcast series, the conversations between the two of us, Ben and me. Whenever you see a new podcast episode, its companion article and slides show up here.
So the post site is really two things at once, a place for quick updates and a place for deeper podcast discussions. That makes it a pretty important part of the whole LCC Fusion ecosystem. Before we go any further, we should probably mention the YouTube channel. People are already asking where the videos actually live.
Right, everything we publish goes onto our official channel, youtube.com/@LCC Fusion Project. That's the public home for all the Fusion videos, card walkthroughs, breakout boards, podcasts, and future tutorials. And here's the really important part, every single video on the channel also has a companion post on the LCC Fusion Posts website. So if you're watching a video, you can always go back to the post to grab the slides, read the dialogue, or follow the links.
So, videos and posts are always paired up. YouTube for the viewing experience, and the post site for all the supporting details.
Exactly. And as the channel grows, all the podcast episodes will also be grouped into dedicated playlists, making it easy for users to follow along in order.
All right, let's talk about how you actually navigate the LCC Fusion Post site. There's a lot on the page, and I want to make sure users know where to start.
Navigation is pretty simple once you know the structure. Right across the top is your main navigation bar. From there, you can jump to Home, Features, Getting Started, or the full list of posts. It's always visible, so you can get where you need to go quickly. Lower on the page, you'll see the posts list. This is where every article appears, from short updates and tips to full podcast write-ups, slide decks, and embedded videos. Posts are organized chronologically, newest first.
And what about the podcasts? How do I find those without scrolling through everything?
Great question. You can spot podcast posts easily because they include the slide deck, the dialogue between us, and usually an embedded YouTube link. Plus, every podcast video is also placed into a dedicated YouTube playlist, so if you follow that link in the video description, you'll see all the episodes in order.
So, whether someone wants a quick update or the full podcast treatment, they can reach it all right from the posts page. Okay, now that we know the basics, how do people actually find things once they're on the site? There's a lot of information here, and not all of it is a podcast.
Right, everything starts on the home page. From there you'll see a scrolling list of every post we've published, regular updates, tips, project notes, and of course the podcast episodes. It's all chronological, newest at the top. But podcast posts are easy to spot. They'll have the title slide, the full dialogue between us, and usually a YouTube embed right near the top. And below that, you'll find the full slide deck and any links mentioned in the episode.
So I just scroll the home page to browse everything. But what if I'm only looking for the podcasts? Or maybe just the general tips?
That's where categories and tags help. Each post is labeled with the type of content it is, so you can click a category and instantly filter down to just what you're interested in. And for podcasts specifically, the matching YouTube videos are always collected into a playlist, so you can also jump straight into the whole series from there.
So whether I want a quick update or a deeper podcast episode, I can navigate to it in seconds. Something I noticed pretty quickly is that every podcast video has a matching post on the site. Why do we do it that way? Why not just leave everything on YouTube?
Because both pieces serve different purposes. YouTube is the viewing experience. That's where you watch the video, listen to the conversation, and follow the card walkthroughs. It's immediate and easy to access. But the post is where all the reference material lives, the slide deck, the complete dialogue between us, links to documentation, links to related cards, and any notes or updates we want to add later. It's like a companion guide for the video.
So the post becomes the take-home version, something you can come back to if you need the wiring tables, the diagrams, or the detailed steps.
Exactly. And the two together make the learning process much smoother. You watch the video first, then you use the post for deeper understanding or to follow along when building a card or breakout board.
That really does make it a complete system. A video to show you how, and a post to help you do it. So how does the post site fit into the rest of the Fusion world? We've got the documentation site, we've got GitHub, and now we've got videos and podcasts. How do all these pieces work together?
Think of Fusion as having three major resources. First, the documentation site. That's where you find the detailed information, the wiring tables, testing steps, schematics, assembly instructions, power specs, everything. That's the reference library. Second, the GitHub repositories. That's the engineering side of the project. It's where we keep the firmware, the schematics, the Gerber files, all the code, and all the source materials. If you're building or programming, that's where you go. And third, we have the post site. This is the middle layer, the part that connects the documentation with the videos and the hands-on experience. It's where the storytelling happens, and where the podcasts and walkthroughs bring the project to life.
So the post site is almost like the guidebook. It explains how everything fits together and helps people move between the videos, the documentation, and the GitHub source.
Exactly. You watch the video on YouTube, you read the matching post for the details, you visit the documentation when you need technical specifics, and GitHub is always there for the source-level work. The post site makes the whole system navigable.
Now that I know what the post site is and how it fits into everything, what's the best way for someone to actually use it? Is there a recommended order, or do people just dive in anywhere?
You can do either, but there's a pattern that works really well. Most people start with the newest posts on the home page, because that's where we announce new cards, new breakout boards, new firmware updates, and new podcast episodes. If you want a deeper walkthrough, the podcast posts are the place to go. They've got the full dialogue between us, the slide deck, the diagrams, and the links to documentation or videos. It's the most complete form of a Fusion lesson.
And the other posts? The regular ones?
Those are for quick updates and discoveries, tips on soldering, notes about new board revisions, project examples, little problem-solving posts, and the kinds of things you might miss if you only watched the videos.
So, the ideal flow is: watch the video, read the matching post, and then jump into the docs when you need the technical details.
Exactly. That gives you the big picture first, the step-by-step detail second, and the technical reference third. It's the smoothest way to learn the Fusion system and work through the cards and breakout boards with confidence.
Alright, before we close out, let's do a quick recap of everything we've covered.
The LCC Fusion post site is really two things in one. It gives you our regular project updates, tips, notes, discoveries, and announcements. And it gives you the podcast episodes, with the full slide decks and the dialogues between us. Navigation is simple. Start at the home page, scroll through the posts, and look for the ones that match what you're working on. Podcast posts are easy to spot because they come with slides, transcripts, and video links.
And everything connects back to the full Fusion system. Hosts guide you through the concepts, the documentation gives you the technical details, and GitHub provides the firmware and schematics.
Your best workflow is: watch the video on our YouTube channel, read the matching post for details, and follow the links into the documentation when you need pinouts, tables, or assembly steps. It all works together as one learning path.
So whether you're building your first card or exploring more advanced Fusion features, the post site is your companion along the way.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in the next podcast.
Thanks for watching this episode of the LCC Fusion podcast series. Be sure to follow the links in the description to download the presentation, including the full dialogue between our presenters. I hope you'll continue building and exploring with LCC and the LCC Fusion Project for your layouts automation. And let's see you in the next episode.